85 floors. That sounds insane until you realize it is still not even halfway to where this tower has to go. Right now, on the coast of the Red Sea, Jeddah Tower is rising at about one floor every 5 days. A project the world called dead is moving again, and it is moving faster than almost anyone expected. But here's what nobody says out loud. Everything you've seen so far was the easy part. From here to the finish line, this project hits 3 problems at once. An engineering challenge that has never been attempted at this scale, a money situation that just got tighter, and one single transition point where the entire tower's future can swing in either direction. And that moment is coming soon. I covered this tower back when it hit 66 floors. That video took off because you wanted the real story, not the hype. So today, I'm giving you the full update, the progress, the risks, the money, and the details most channels skip. Stay with me. Because what's happening on this site right now is how history gets built, or how billion-dollar projects collapse. Let me give you the verified numbers sourced directly from official engineering firms and confirmed news reports. Construction officially restarted in January 2025 under a $1.9 billion contract awarded to the Saudi Bin Laden Group. In the early months, the pace was slow. Ramadan had reduced site activity, but by April 2025, the tower had passed its 66th floor. Then something clicked. A new crane was installed on the structural core. The pumpcrete systems went to full capacity, and the pace accelerated sharply. By December 2025, the tower had officially crossed the 80th floor mark, confirmed publicly by Thornton Tomaset T on January 6, 2026. Then, just weeks later, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Kingdom Holdings CEO Talal Al-Miman confirmed on Al Arabiya TV that the tower had reached floor 85 and was rising at one new floor every 5 days. And he said something else at Davos, something very deliberate. Standing in front of the world's most powerful investors, he said, "The project is a major investment for the company this year. You don't say that at Davos unless you mean it." At that pace of one floor every 5 days, the tower is now approaching, or may have already crossed, 90 floors and is closing in on the 100-floor milestone engineers projected for this very month. Floor 100 of a building designed to reach 1,008 meters. That's not just a skyscraper anymore. That's the beginning of something humanity has never built before. But before we look at what comes next, we need to understand what makes this pace even possible, because it genuinely shouldn't be. When construction stopped in 2018, 63 floors of reinforced concrete sat exposed. 7 years of 50-degree heat, sandstorms, salt air off the Red Sea. Most structural engineers publicly said the same thing. The steel reinforcement inside that concrete would be corroded, the concrete would have microfractures, and the foundation might have shifted. They were wrong. Here's why. Engineers had not used ordinary concrete. They specified ultra-high-performance concrete with compressive strengths far exceeding conventional formulations. The foundation itself is extraordinary. German engineering firm Bauer drilled 270 massive piles deep into the ground. Each one measures roughly 1.5 to 1.8 meters in diameter and extends down to about 110 meters. For comparison, the Burj Khalifa uses just 192 piles, reaching about 50 meters deep. Jeddah Tower goes more than twice as deep. Just as important, sensors were embedded throughout the structure from the very beginning, constantly monitoring stress, movement, and moisture. When engineers returned in January 2025, those sensors held 7 full years of recorded data, and the results were clear. The foundation had not shifted. The concrete remained within safe limits, and the specialized mix had prevented salt water from reaching the steel inside. So, what's allowing the tower to rise this fast? The answer is its design. Engineers built it with what's called a 3-petal footprint. 3 curved wings connected to a central Y-shaped core that narrows as it rises. This isn't just for appearance. This shape disrupts powerful wind currents, preventing the dangerous forces that can destabilize buildings at extreme heights. In their January 2026 update, Thornton Tomasetti confirmed that the structural core is performing exactly as predicted in wind tunnel testing. No instability, no unexpected movement. The tower is behaving exactly as engineers designed it to. That is why construction has been able to accelerate. But that pace will not continue forever. Because what comes next has never been attempted at this scale before. Right now, at roughly 85 to 90 floors, the tower is still in what engineers would call the safe zone. Concrete can be pumped reliably, crane operations remain under control. Progress, while difficult, is predictable. But that changes completely around floor 130, more than 550 meters above the ground. This is where the physics start pushing back. The world record for pumping concrete vertically is just over 620 meters, and that was achieved under controlled conditions. Jeddah Tower must rise to more than 1,008 meters. At that height, the pressure required becomes extreme, and in Jeddah's desert heat, crews have only about 90 minutes before the concrete begins hardening inside the pipes. If something goes wrong, it is not a simple repair. Equipment could be trapped hundreds of meters in the air, and delays could cost millions. That is why, at floor 130, everything changes. Concrete construction stops, and steel construction begins. From that transition point upward, approximately 350 more meters, the tower will be assembled using prefabricated steel sections lifted into place by cranes. This is the most critical phase of the entire project because steel and concrete behave very differently. They expand at different rates under heat, transfer weight differently, and require completely different connection methods. Engineers must join these two structural systems more than 550 meters above the ground, where wind speeds can exceed 200 kilometers per hour, and every connection must be precise down to the millimeter. If this transition is not executed perfectly, structural stress can develop and spread throughout the tower. This is why engineers around the world are watching Jeddah Tower so closely, not because of what it has already achieved, but because of what it must do next. Floor 130 is expected sometime in 2026, and when concrete construction ends and steel assembly begins, the future of the tower will be decided. In late January 2026, something important happened that most coverage of Jeddah Tower barely mentioned. Saudi Arabia quietly suspended another megaproject in Riyadh known as the Mukab, a planned structure worth roughly $50 billion. The official explanation was financial feasibility and strategic prioritization. In simple terms, the numbers no longer made sense right now. That raises an obvious question. If a $50 billion project in the capital can be paused, what makes Jeddah Tower different? The answer begins with scale and commitment. A $1.9 billion construction contract is already active, and the tower has already risen 85 floors. Walking away now would not just mean financial loss, it would leave a half-finished kilometer-high structure standing on the Red Sea coastline, visible to the entire world. The second reason is political credibility. This project was frozen in 2017 when Prince Al-Walid bin Talal was detained during the anti-corruption crackdown. Finishing it now sends a clear signal to global investors that Saudi Arabia follows through on its largest commitments. Turner Construction, which took over project management in March 2025, described the site as one of the most complex construction environments on Earth. Companies of that scale do not commit resources unless completion is expected. The third reason is public commitment. At the World Economic Forum in Davos, the CEO of Kingdom Holding confirmed on record that the tower remains a major investment priority. Statements made at that level are not made casually. But the risks are still very real. More than 70 floors remain, and the most difficult construction phases are still ahead. Even after the structure reaches its full height, crews will need roughly 18 to 24 months to install 67 elevators and escalators Complete the exterior glass across more than 150 floors, finish all internal systems, and pass safety certification. The current target for completion is August 2028. That timeline leaves little margin for delay. The funding is active and the tower is rising, but the most difficult tests are still ahead. To understand what this really means, you have to zoom out. Jeddah Tower is not just another skyscraper. When complete, it will rise more than 1,008 meters, roughly 173 meters taller than the Burj Khalifa, becoming the first structure in human history to cross the 1-kilometer mark. Inside, the scale is enormous. The tower will contain about 5.7 million square feet of space across more than 150 floors, including a luxury hotel, private residences, office space, and the highest observation deck ever built. Visitors will reach that height using high-speed elevators traveling more than 600 meters straight up from the ground. The elevator system itself represents a major breakthrough. Finnish manufacturer Kone was awarded the contract to install 67 elevators and escalators, including several using ultra-rope technology, carbon fiber cables strong enough to operate across distances never attempted before. Without this technology, vertical travel inside a 1-kilometer tower would not be practical. At the very top of the structure, inside the spire, engineers have installed two enormous tuned mass dampers. One weighs 870 tons and the other weighs 260 tons. Their purpose is simple but critical. They counteract wind movement, stabilizing the tower and preventing dangerous sway at extreme heights. And this is the bigger picture. Jeddah Tower is not just a record-breaking building, it is a test. Because Saudi Arabia is already discussing something even taller, a proposed structure in Riyadh known as the Rise Tower planned to reach nearly 2 kilometers in height. As of now, it remains in the proposal stage. But the ambition is clear. Jeddah Tower is not only about becoming the tallest building in the world, it is about proving that the 1-kilometer barrier can be crossed. So here is where things stand in March 2026. Jeddah Tower has reached 85 confirmed floors and is rising at roughly one floor every 5 days. It is on track to reach floor 100 within weeks. The structural core is performing exactly as designed. The company backing the project has publicly reaffirmed its commitment. Kone has a signed contract to install 67 elevators and escalators, and the current target for completion remains August 2028. The challenges ahead are real. The transition at floor 130 is technically unprecedented. Financial pressure across other megaprojects is increasing, and long-term demand for ultra-high residential space remains an open question. But here is what momentum does. Every new floor increases pressure to finish. Every new floor reduces uncertainty. Every new floor makes stopping more expensive than continuing. This project is no longer about whether it can rise. It is about when it will reach the top. Now I want your prediction. Will Jeddah Tower open by August 2028, yes or no? And do you believe the proposed 2-kilometer rise tower will actually be built? If this update helped you understand what is really happening behind the headlines, subscribe. Floor 100 is coming soon, and when it happens, you will want to see it the moment it does. The race to the sky has restarted, and we are watching every floor.